Hello and a very warm welcome to the Late Breaking F1 podcast presented by Harry Eade, Sam Sage and me, Ben Hocking. The final preview of the season. The last of this triple header, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix coming up. Sam, it feels like F1 has not gone mellow towards the end of the year. It's done whatever the opposite of that is. It's like there's no gently coming down to the conclusion of this season. Everyone's just gone mental in the last 7 days.
You know the film 1917? Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah? You know the scene where he was running, to quote Forrest Gump.
Different film. Yeah.
But equally, same scene, similarly. Sprinting with those missiles going up. That is the F1 season. Can you make it to the end of the 24 Grand Prix out alive? And we're almost there.
Am I going crazy? Did that reference make it onto last episode as well?
Oh, yeah. That's where I know it.
That sounds like a familiar reference.
We only exclusively reference.
You get 2 for 1 in that
one film.
We only like to talk about the year 1917.
I am. Before we start, I'm gonna apologise for something.
What's that, mate? What happened?
I've got a trapped nerve in my shoulder, and so if I randomly scream in the middle of this,
like Homer Simpson.
Yeah, and it's why because I'll be real. It's a spicy one. It hurts.
How have you done this?
Then I just woke up this morning and my body was like, I'm going to be stabbing you in the back all day. And I was like, oh.
You put me through enough.
Cheers. Yeah, so it's actually better than it was, folks, but I know you're all concerned. But
I am deeply concerned now. Very well, you're trying to change your fantasy team and your body went, what is this?
Yeah, it's actually a reaction to try to change it. No, you must not.
You can't do this to me.
Hey, we've got the fancy update coming up a little bit later on. We've got back and forth. Nope, didn't get that reaction. We've got back and forth coming up later on. Plenty more as well. Ocon is not going to be racing this weekend. Instead, it will be Jack Doohan for Alpine. But let's start with Ferrari versus McLaren. It all comes down to this 21 points separating McLaren at the top of the championship on 640 points and Ferrari in second on 619. Sam will kick off with this question. Who will this track favour?
Yeah, this one is not as cut and dry, I think, about the changeover that we had from Vegas to Qatar, where it was quite clear that we thought the transition would go from being this what was turning out to be a very much Mercedes-focused track into a McLaren-Ferrari-focused track. I mean, that transition did happen. We saw that Mercedes were not performing to that same level. Max Verstappen was just doing Max Verstappen things. But realistically, if you look at the cars that were leading the way, it was Ferrari and McLaren that were the front two teams that gained the most points out of that situation as a combined unit. I do think it's going to be much more of the same this time around. I actually think the gap's going to grow. I think you're going to see more of that transition happen. The track is very much split in two halves. You have this rapid, fast-moving corner section in the first sector with the really long 2 straights in the DRS zones. And then at the end of the racetrack, you have the really, really slow, what we call it, harbour section, hotel section. Underrated. Underrated.
Mickey Mouse.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay. I'm saying that strictly for Miami because it looks a bit like an ear when they go around it. But great. Figley, I'm on board with. Figgly dabbly.
Don't say that again.
Anyway, that section is in the final sector. So I think sector 1, McLaren. Sector 2, both, maybe leading Ferrari. Sector 3, Ferrari. So I think we're going to see a real kind of first half of the lap, second half of the lap transition where time could be made up massively if one is maybe like kind of lagging behind a little bit. It's going to be really, really close. And for Ferrari, I don't think they want it to be really, really close. I think they're hoping that this is an absolute clean sweep for them. But I actually think that we're going to see McLaren and Ferrari, the front two, is going to be between them. I don't think Verstappen is going to be properly involved. That's Verstappen's you never know. And I don't think Mercedes is going to be in it like they have been.
Based on what we've seen in the last few Grand Prix, Harry, what team do you think has the advantage at this circuit? Obviously, we've seen Ferrari take some victories recently. McLaren have won a couple of sprints, but it's actually been a little while since they won a main feature race. Who do you think this favours?
I'd still say you'd go for McLaren here, but they've done a lot of being fast but silly, but done a lot of being fast and not really delivering on it. Brazil as well. I know there were very different conditions, but in the dry, that was the fastest car there. and then they obviously didn't capitalize on the pace they had. And the same in Qatar. I think they had the fastest car there, but Verstappen them, as has been the case for this year. But so I'd say my money would still be on McLaren. Ferrari, I think, will be stronger here than they have been. I mean, Qatar, they weren't strong at all. We said in the review, Leclerc looked very bemused as to why he was even on the podium in Qatar. And Vegas, again, they weren't quite there. They didn't seem to like the colder temperatures. But this, I think, is a bit more traditional. Abu Dhabi is a bit more traditional in that it has braking zones, whereas Qatar doesn't have any. And I think they'll be strong. I'd hazard a guess that they'll be the two top teams in the fight. I mean, Verstappen I was thinking about this earlier. Verstappen could be a right menace this weekend. It would just be so annoying to both Ferrari and McLaren.
He has the chance to do the funniest thing.
He'll do it in equal measure as well. Just as it looks like Ferrari might be able to get back into this, he'll mess up one of their races, and then McLaren think they've got it, and then he'll mess up one of their races. He'll be 4 laps down, just annoying people.
Yeah, man's got no skin in the game. He doesn't care who wins. He's just being a menace.
As long as it's not George Russell.
Apart from that.
Keep them very far away from each other.
Oh my God. But yeah, Verstappen could well be in the mix in the Red Bull. Who knows? The car's not there or anything, but he is, so he can just make it work apparently. But I think Ferrari and McLaren, I think they're going to be pretty evenly matched. But I'd hedge my bets on pace-wise McLaren. Whether that actually translates into a result, different matter, because they don't seem to be able to do that lately.
Yeah, I think the last couple of races have roughly gone as I thought they might, with Vegas favouring Ferrari and Qatar favouring McLaren, even if McLaren weren't really able to capitalise on that. Based on that, I'm inclined to say Ferrari might have a minor advantage here, but I do think it will be competitive between those two teams. As you detailed, Sam, there is a severe difference between the first half of this lap and the second half of this lap. I do think just based on those two very long straights plus those heavy braking zones that maybe Ferrari might just have a small advantage. But I think actually Ferrari would rather it be the old version of Abu Dhabi, because whereas you had slightly even more heavier braking zones at the old version of Abu Dhabi before the circuit was changed, we've now got those two more sweeping corners that occur before and after those two straights, which again, based on McLaren strengths, might favour those instead. I think this track, if you're looking at more recent Grand Prix as a comparison point, maybe Mexico. It's difficult to say, but Mexico, again, you've got the really fast 2 straights to kick off the lap, and then you've got a more technical section to end it. And Ferrari were pretty good there, but so were McLaren. So I think it will be fairly close between those two teams. If we're looking at the championship in particular, Sam, because we know that Ferrari don't just need to be as good as McLaren, they don't need to be better than McLaren, they need to make up a 21-point advantage on McLaren. What, as a percentage chance, what chance do you think Ferrari have of clinching their first Constructors' Championship in a very long time?
Yeah, I think unfortunately Qatar just went the wrong way for them. They'd had such brilliant form at certain points throughout this season, and it's just slipped the wrong way at the wrong moment. They were punished by Mercedes being fantastic in Vegas, and they really could have done with that kind of outlier not happening. Qatar, their form nowhere near as good as what it needs to be in comparison to McLaren, who were able to claw back points at almost every turn. Here it's been made a real difficult moment for them. I think the percentages dropped race on race on race. Unfortunately, despite it looking like we might have something that goes right down to the wire, well, we could almost have had single-digit points differences between those teams. This is quite a large gap, considering that you get 44 for a 1-2, and then the difference between that 1-2 and then a 3-4 is something along the lines of 27 points. So that's going to be 17 at that point. They were the fastest lap. Maybe you get 18, of course. It's not enough. It's not enough. They need someone like a Max Verstappen or a Mercedes to step up. So that means that in my eyes, the percentage of them winning this title or even having a good shot at this title, I think sits around 15, 20%. I really think we're in the favourite zone of McLaren here. They just need no silly business, no luck going their way, no random calls on the last lap, no over-the-top long radio messages to communicate something. Just bring you don't need to win, McLaren. Just bring your drivers home around 3rd and 4th place. and you're going to be fine. You'll take this away. Ferrari, on the other hand, this worries me. They need to go all guns blazing, all the risk. They need to try everything under the sun to make something happen. And when that happens, Ferrari kind of don't really have a clue with what's going on, and they get all very confused and don't know what plan is happening. And then they need to do pit stops, and then someone has a blue thing in their hand, and it is disastrous. So I just feel like this is going to sway McLaren's way. So unless we get a miracle, yeah, maybe 15, 20% for Ferrari to win this. 80% is going McLaren's way.
I mentioned it's been a long time since Ferrari won a Constructors' Championship. Of course, it's applicable for both teams. McLaren will have had to wait even longer for their next opportunity to win a championship. Harry, do you agree with Sam saying 15%, 20% chance that Ferrari win this? Are you more optimistic, more pessimistic?
I'd probably go around that number. It's going to be an uphill battle, as Joe McKeldry once sang.
Wow.
Okay.
It's the climb.
What a reference.
But yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. They need McLaren to be extra silly this weekend if they've got any chance. But as you said, Sam, McLaren just need I think the only thing that Ferrari could be, I guess, hopeful for, A, they need to be quick in the first instance. B, I think, judging by how this year has gone, McLaren have former in making things way too complicated for themselves. And I've got a funny feeling that they could do the same again this weekend when they really don't need to. But we'll see. As you mentioned, Sam, the ridiculous radio messages, repeating stupid jokes on the radio messages. I just wonder whether this could go wrong for McLaren when they're trying to make it overly complicated. I also can't wait to have Charles Leclerc trying to work out on the last few laps again this year as he did last year. If I drop back and go behind Perez and do this, and the Ferrari strategy is like, what are you talking about?
He's doing algebra while I'm still learning 2 + 2 in there.
Exactly. But yeah, we'll see it. It's probably going to be more. It's probably not going to be necessary, I don't think, because Ferrari just need to be at the front, and McLaren just need to ease it home. But so I think the only way that is going to go their way is if McLaren could have a right royal stink of a race and both be out, but that's pretty unlikely to happen. So apart from that, I think we need to rely on them making mistakes.
I think you're right to be cautious about McLaren in that they could do something silly. Exhibit A is 2 days ago as we're recording this, so it wouldn't be that ridiculous. But I am saying that Ferrari's chance of winning this is pretty small. I'm actually going maybe 5 to 10%. Like I just don't think it's going to happen at this stage. If you look at, they're 21 points behind, and as far as I understand it, in terms of the tie break, let's face it, Ferrari probably have to win this Grand Prix, even before thinking about what the second driver's doing. In which case, they would hold the tie break of number of wins this season versus McLaren. So we can assume that actually 21 points to draw level would be fine, and that would give them the championship. Question for the room: how many times in a race has Ferrari outscored McLaren by 21 points this season?
I'm going to go with 1.
You would be absolutely right. They've done it once, and we got to see it.
Why can't we be this good at other games that we play, for Christ's sake?
Give Sam a head start on back and forth. Give him a point for that.
I need something my way. It's Christmas.
If we were doing higher and lower, you'd get your 2 points now, but back and forth numbers mean nothing, my man.
When Ben says "my man," I don't know why it absolutely sends me. It's so like he's just got my man kind of guy.
My brother.
My brother. I'm like, that is the whitest dude. He's like, is that my man?
My man has no chill, am I right?
Thank you, my brother.
God. Yeah, they've only done it once. And that was exactly 21 points, by the way, that Ferrari beat McLaren in Austin. But every other race this season, they have not done exactly what they need to do this weekend. So based on 1 out of 23, the percentage isn't going to be very high that it's going to happen. But you're right, Harry. It's like you can't definitively say McLaren have got this in the bag because, hey, they could have already done it. It was called Qatar. and they managed to find a way to mess this up. In all likelihood, outside of the regular mistakes, it would probably need to be a DNF for one of Piastri or Norris in a car that, as far as I understand, hasn't had a reliability-related DNF this year. I know they've had a couple of... Piastri was out of the points in Miami and Norris retired in Austria, but neither of those were reliability-related reasons. So they need that to happen. Seems unlikely. Or maybe Oscar Piastri has, and it hasn't been very common, but he did have a few qualifying issues. Again, Austin was one of them. Mexico was the other. Maybe a shock Q1 elimination will open the door. But for the most part, I think McLaren have this in the bag. Merkel, Red Bull in the fight, Sam, or is it a two-horse race?
With George Russell's form, there's every chance that pesky little burglar could get in there and nick a few points, maybe a podium. I genuinely think he is on the form of his life at the moment. Flying, really riling up a current world champion, apparently. Riling up Mohammed Ben Sulayem. He's got a real mission just to aggravate a few people. He's just getting under people's skin, getting them hot and bothered, you know. And Georgie Russ is doing that on the racetrack as well. He's absolutely put Lewis Hamilton in the ground. The guy is through the floor when it comes to morale. And I think he could possibly pose a little problem for the podium sitters. A lot of P's in there, wasn't there?
Pose a little problem for the podium sitters.
Oh, I liked that. What was that comment that we had on our Instagram? We're speaking a jovial tone or something like that.
Pajovial.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, so I think that Russell could pose a problem for the podium sitters. Equally, as we've already mentioned, Max Verstappen could just do the funniest thing. He'd just be an absolute menace. Why not? He's the fastest man in the world. He's got literally nothing to lose. So do it for the banter, Max. Just do it for the banter.
It'd be like him and George Russell creating a war zone, and the McLarens and Ferraris are just trying to get through it. Like, please.
Like that scene in 1917. I don't know if you've seen it.
Good reference, Ben. We should use that one again. Oh, good film if no one's seen it, by the way.
How many times can we get 1917 into the show in the next week?
Many, many times.
Harry, you do realise it's just you and me on this Saturday, don't you?
Yeah. It's going to be 40 minutes of 1917 references.
Watching the film. If we didn't watch qualifying, we were watching 1917.
We love history on this channel, it's fine.
I loved it when George Russell stopped the advance on the Western Front in Rebel 1.
He's that type of guy, isn't he? Really?
He would, wouldn't he?
If anyone would, it'd be him.
Oh, God. Lewis Hamilton blowing his mustard gas whistle. Fantastic performance.
Oh, dear.
Right. We're gonna transport ourselves 100 years back to the future and find ourselves in 2024 and give what we call bold predictions.
Gather around, little children, and listen to my song about my F1 bold predictions and how they'll all be wrong.
Well, it's the final bold predictions of the season, and thus it's a celebration of Mr. Harry Eade, who has won this year's Bold Predictions Challenge.
Come on.
Your reward, sir, you can go first.
Oh, thanks so much. I'm doubling down on what Sam said last week, and I'm gonna up it. I'm gonna say Sergio Perez on his what's likely to be his last appearance in Red Bull, and maybe F1 will win the race.
Have you done this because you can't lose now?
Yes.
Fair. Okay, I respect it.
Harry, before we move on to our bold predictions, would you be kind enough to give the listeners and the viewers a reminder of what happened the last time you predicted Perez was going to win?
He was out at turn 1. Yeah. Mexico 2023. How you doing?
Mexico still hates
Oh, no,
you.
wait. Didn't I predict that again this year?
Oh, yeah.
That prompted you to do it this year, which...
Well, that went much better.
yeah.
I repeat my statement. Mexico hates him.
All right, a Perez wins. Sam, what's your bold prediction?
I'm not going to absolute specifics, but Lewis Hamilton will do something to a McLaren that causes Ferrari to win the title.
Goodness me. What on earth
I'll
could
let
he
you
do?
let your minds wander.
is it he's not going to come out because Will Smith has tied him up and it's going to be Will Smith driving the Mercedes?
I've got a race, man.
Got a race, man.
Let me out, Will. I got a race, man.
That was hell.
That was maybe the worst thing this world has ever
Remember as
seen.
well when they had the helicopter shot of the hairpin and Will Smith is just on the big camera just in the corner on his own. I guess that celebrities run riot in this place.
Yeah.
My bold prediction, it's the last race of the year. So it is, I think it's fitting to do something that's positive. And again, there's nothing to fight for at this point. There's no championship on the line between us in terms of bold prediction. So I can just go for something I'd quite like to see. Valtteri Bottas in the points.
Oh,
Come on,
please.
mate.
Did you see his post today? Where there's a picture of him laughing, and he says, "When someone told me I was going to get points in 2024."
I did see some comments from him about like how Sauber has been a little bit better these last few races. I think he called it ironic.
He's so checked out.
He did a very angry story after the race on Instagram.
Fuming.
He was like-
He lost,
he was like,
wouldn't he?
Well done to Joe, but equally, I've worked this bloody hard all season, and the one race we're good, I can't score points. It's like, are you having a laugh?
Direct quote.
Yeah.
He says, in a cockney accent, are you having a laugh at the end?
Him and Steve Magnussen.
With their kids in the back.
Good. Sam, what have you got?
Pole, I am going for Charles Leclerc. The wing, I'm going for Charles Leclerc. Second place, I'm going for Sainz. Third, I'm going for Norris.
The reason I went to you, Sam, first is that you're not in competition for the hotly contested battle between myself and... There's already been controversy.
Can't believe Ben's going to get this on a technicality.
I have not been paying any attention, so that's good.
Hazza has been keeping track of our poll 1, 2, 3 predictions in our Discord. If you're not already in there, join us in the link in the description. And it's level going into this last race because I've got a point for Verstappen being on pole for Qatar. And according to Commissioner Hazza, the rules are that the grid penalty doesn't apply, which I think is a great idea.
You're going to lose because you've just said Perez is going to win.
It's a valid point, actually.
Yeah.
That's your own doing.
Yeah, but I could get pole 2 and 3 right, and that's 3 points.
Oh, imagine if he gets 4 because you said Perez to win.
I'll
final victory is over you.
Protest. I will protest the Verstappen pole point.
We're outside the Parliament of Hazza.
Yeah, exactly. Outside his house.
Hazza just
cardboard.
headbutt you, mate.
He'll nut you, throw a carling at your head.
Yeah. He did request that a tiebreaker be used as well. So if we can just quickly sort that out. What I propose here is...
This is going to be biased.
Not going to be biased. Harry, you say what you think the win margin will be.
Okay.
And I will say higher or lower than that.
Why does he get to pick the number? Why don't you get to
I can pick the number if you want. It's up to you.
Oh, I want to pick the number.
Okay.
Pick the number then.
No, you pick the number. Mercedes Bono style.
Never let them know your next move.
No, I'll pick it. Right, I'll do my pole 1, 2, 3 first.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Pole will be Lando Norris. The win will be Sergio Perez. Norris will be third, and Leclerc will... Norris will be third. Norris will be second, and Leclerc will be...
in the bag.
Leclerc
taking 4th place finishes.
Leclerc will be third. Oh, dear.
I've got Norris pole, Leclerc win, Norris second, Sainz third.
Can we change it so you two can drag race and I'll be the lady in the middle who isn't wearing a lot of clothes and throw my scarf in the air?
Now, I'll pick a win margin, I think.
Yeah, I will do anything to avoid that.
Oh, I was going to come dressed as my best Sandra D.
Yeah, I'll... 6 seconds.
You know what? I was actually going to go 6 if you said I need to pick. I will go lower than 6.
Ooh.
So 6 or more, you win. Anything less than 6, I win.
I'm very excited. This race has got a whole new meaning for me. I'm watching a real championship.
Yeah.
Right. Well, coming up after the break, we are getting on to the news that Jack Doohan is replacing Esteban Ocon at Alpine this weekend. Alpine has announced that Esteban Ocon will not take part in what was said to be his final race for the team at Abu Dhabi. Jack Doohan, who was originally scheduled to join Alpine's lineup for 2025, will now instead make his debut with the team 1 race early. Ocon has been released from his contract ahead of schedule to begin preparations with his new team Haas and will participate in the postseason test at Yas Marina. Speculation about Ocon's future arose following his first lap retirement in Sunday's race. However, Alpine team principal Oliver Oakes appeared to be caught off guard by the development and declined to confirm the change when asked at the time. Less than 24 hours later, and the switch was announced. So, your thoughts, Sam, on this decision?
Came out the blue, didn't it? Let's talk about it from 2 point of views here. You've got Ocon's point of view and you've got Alpine's point of view. From Ocon's point of view, I think he was taken a little bit by surprise. And I think unfairly so. Ocon has been a real stalwart of that Alpine and what was Renault team. He's their longest serving driver at this point. He has gone up against real giants of the sport, Fernando Alonso being, kind of that number one guy, and held his own fantastically well. And we know that Ocon's got a reputation of going up against teammates, maybe not having the best mannerisms on track, shall we say, when you kind of duel against them. But he's always been a really solid driver, and he's always produced when the opportunity has been given to him in a car that can perform. What I think was a little bit unfair for Ocon here is the crash in Qatar wasn't his fault. He was taken out kind of in that Hulkenberg squeeze that happened where he kind of understeered off. And that has got nothing to do with him. Whether he was going to recover, he only had 14 finishes in that Grand Prix. Someone takes his place. What's to say that he doesn't pick up a point or two? You never know. He's been a real part of that team. And he's a nice bloke. And it's a real shame to see that he's going to be kind of ousted and doesn't get his moment with that team, which I think he holds quite dear to him. On the flip side, with Alpine, I do entirely understand why they've made this decision. And I do wonder if it had nothing to do with the crash in Qatar, and maybe people above Ollie Oakes were maybe really having this conversation, and this gave them an easy way to kind of scapegoat it and swap it around, because it does make sense when they probably feel they've locked down sixth place in the championship. With Pierre Gasly doing so well, with the car's development being so strong, the fact that the points gap is now a lot larger than they expected it to be coming out of Qatar, they probably don't expect Haas to pick up, let's say, a double points finish well into the points. I'm not talking 9th and 10th. I'm talking like a 5th and a 7th or something like that. It is essentially allowing Doohan, who has very, very minimal Formula One car driving experience, to get in the car, get a full race weekend under his belt, to understand where the car's going and that development, and to prepare for next season. I really do understand those reasons. I just don't think it's been handled very, very well. I do think that they've kind of shut this out there. No press, no respect to their driver. Very similar to what happened with Daniel Ricciardo. Not to the same extent, but very similar, because obviously that was the end of Daniel Ricciardo's career as we currently know it. He might come back, we're not sure. But as we know it, he's out of Formula One, whereas Ocon is at Haas. But that was done where even he didn't know what was happening, and you could see it in his face that he was possibly devastated that might be it for him. At least Ocon has a drive, but clearly he had no idea. If Ollie Oakes had no idea, Ocon has no idea. And out of the blue, he doesn't get a goodbye. He doesn't get his moment. We've had it shown in the break that he's got to have tribute helmet for Alpine. It was a thing for him, and he doesn't get that. So I think that's quite unfortunate. That's quite sad. So I get it, Alpine. I understand it, and it kind of is logical. And the one time maybe you've been logical in quite a harsh way, but equally, was it really that bad to let Esteban Ocon have his last Grand Prix and Alpine to testing or not for Haas, if that is a real stipulation in his contract, despite Sainz being able to test the Williams? I don't know. It feels badly prepared, and that's exactly what I think about Alpine.
What did you make of this situation, Harry?
Sam, you brought up Daniel Ricciardo, and I was going to mention the same thing. I know it's different situations because Ricciardo was completely out of a seat, but can teams just stop pre-firing their drivers before a race? Because look, we don't know the full story around this, whether it was a joint decision or not, but Ocon clearly knew that after this race he wasn't coming back for Abu Dhabi. And why the denial from Ollie Oakes? Well, as you say, he was caught off guard, so clearly the line was deny it. But what's I don't quite see the point, which is my main confusion with this, is what, apart from the ability to test the Haas in the postseason tests, which, look, as you pointed out, Sam, Carlos Sainz apparently can do anyway, even though he's finishing the season with Ferrari. Alpine are scared by that fact.
God damn it.
Why does one race make a difference in your contract?
Well, exactly. I just think that's a rubbish excuse.
You could do the end of season test if you don't race in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah,
that's not a contract.
In the really small print,
it doesn't exist.
But also, yes, it's it's a good chance for a driver to start afresh with the team. But quite frankly, it means absolutely jack all, because they'll get in the car. I know Alonso did it with Aston Martin a couple of years ago. I know Sainz is doing it this year. But they'll get in the car. They'll be with a load of mechanics they've never worked with before. And I know this avoids doing it at the start of the next year. But then they're going to go away on their holidays for a month and then not see them again or not do anything. So the actual benefit of doing this, I don't really buy as a reason to do it. So that's an odd reasoning. I do, given by what Ocon's posted on his Instagram, he had a tribute helmet lined up by the looks of it for this weekend, which was an Alpine helmet. He's too good for that team.
Such a sweetheart.
Time to fly the nest, my guy.
Photo of Ocon, Piastri and Alonso from last year.
So funny.
Oh boy.
They've all gone. Alpine have got rid of them all. Good stuff. Yeah, look, it's. I think it is more team motivated. It seems like it's more team motivated than Ocon. Why wouldn't Ocon want to do the final race for this team? Ocon's put a lot of work into being at Alpine. He's got them their first win. He's been there through the good times and the bad times, mainly bad times. And this seems like a very unceremonious way to end that relationship. So it's a shame, and I don't buy the reasoning whatsoever. It's a load of crap.
Boneheaded is the word I have written down here.
Good word.
Yeah, if it's come from Alpine, which I thought was the case anyway, and as soon as Ocon posted that, I was even more convinced it was from Alpine. It's just boneheaded. And even if it has come from Ocon, Alpine can turn around and say, you have a contract, you have to race, because it makes sense for him to actually race here. I know that it's more than likely they will seal sixth in the championship, but it's still pretty close. There's only 5 points separating themselves and Haas. There's only 13 separating themselves and RB. I think RB are probably a bit distant, but what did we see at Qatar? Carnage, because everyone's at the end of the season and they don't care anymore, which provides opportunities for these midfield drivers. That's why Gasly got 5th place in the Grand Prix. That's why the likes of Zhou was able to claim 4 points. Haas could very easily claim 5 points here at Abu Dhabi. I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. So you want your best lineup possible, which is Gasly and Ocon, and it's not a debate. It's very convincingly Gasly and Ocon. That's no slight on Doohan, but he hasn't done an F1 race yet. And I don't know how much experience this would actually help Jack Doohan anyway. I mean, it's better than nothing, but to do one race and then be away for a few months and then come back in 2025, if you're seriously judging him based on this performance, why? Well, I don't understand why they've done this. Gasly was, before Qatar, 26 to 23 ahead of Ocon. In a season where Ocon and Alpine and everyone else is known for 15 races that Ocon would not be there next season. Gasly has, rightfully, based on the silly decision, he's been rightly prioritized throughout this season, and yet Ocon has stayed close to him. It's a very good lineup. And now all of a sudden, with millions and millions of Wonga on the line...
Wonga!
They've
Get out of the soundboard, sorry.
Old soundboard vibes, yeah. They've decided that even though there is a lot at stake, they'd rather just use it as a test session for Jack Doohan. I think it is. Again, I don't think it even matters if it's come from Ocon, because Alpine could just override it. I think it's just a stupid decision all round. And this whole thing about making the decision so he can then go to Haas and do the postseason test has put me in a fit of rage, man. Like, you can see Carlos Sainz. That is literally happening. Nonsense.
When Carlos rolls out the garage in a Williams a couple of days after the Abu Dhabi GP, the entirety of the Alpine pit wall are going to fall over. What?
You can't. Honestly, man, like, it's just nonsense. It's nonsense. Like, days since nonsense. None. Today Today is nonsense day.
We're
Come
bringing
on,
props back.
Alpine.
Props.
Get the props back. Correct me if I'm wrong. Could Doohan not have done the, or is he doing the post season test
That's an idea.
as a way to test
What a good idea that is.
rather than a race, which is actually a terrible test environment.
Wow. Haven't you just pulled an absolute brainwave out of the bag?
I'll write to Ollie.
You write to get a pen and paper out. You write to him.
I'll write to Abu
Too busy
Dhabi.
finding out how Trish is.
It's the nichest reference ever. I'm a roundabout.
Clip that.
That's a Patreon reference.
Sam just saying I'm a roundabout. It will never be used ever. But clip it.
Around and round all day.
Use it for irrelevant things. What you want for your tea?
I'm a roundabout.
Shall we have a look at how we've done with F1 fantasy?
Yeah, go on then.
Go on. I actually don't know how I've done. So.
You know what? It's a good week to be LB. Looking at our results, not too bad whatsoever. Before we get to how we've done, a quick shout on the top 3 overall in the championship, because the Fiat Cinquecento has had a very good week and has opened up a bit of a gap on Sweet Papayas in second and Prancing Zebras in third. So can the Fiat win in Abu Dhabi? That remains to be seen. Congratulations to, it was a tie, two-way tie at the top for the Qatar Grand Prix. Well done, Cow Bazaar and Otmar's 9 Kids.
That's not fair. There's neither of them working on that.
Yeah, cheats.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll divide that score by 9, so it's actually just Cow Bazaar that's won.
Thank you.
And us 4. I would like to sincerely thank one Mr. Charles Leclerc for saving me with his second place finish, because I completely forgot to change my team. I've gone up 5 positions to 132nd.
Good job, mate.
Kirsty is then second, up 12 positions to 233rd. Sam, not only were you 17th for the week,
Oh, big week for me.
you're into the 200s again, 298th, which, if I'm doing the maths, means based on last week, you've gone up by how many positions?
69!
Yeah.
A legitimate 69.
That's
Clip that as well.
legitimate.
I'm a roundabout.
Goodness me.
Just fake ones. Harry.
Oh, hello there.
The quest to be in the 1300s.
Yes.
You've gone up by 20 spots.
Oh, hey!
Good job.
1,433rd. So 33 more positions, you can get to 1,400.
Excellent work by me. The win's
Well
almost in sight.
Got right where I want him.
One to go, all to play for.
Last goal wins.
Go to go.
Basically, if Sauber thought they still had a shot at the title fight, I would be Sauber. Don't worry,
I
guys.
think you have less chance than Sauber.
Yeah.
That is a damning response.
All right, let's take our second break on this episode. On the other side, Under Pressure. Welcome back, everyone. The last preview of the season, of course, means the last Under Pressure of the season. So before we get to our Discord submitters, we will start with our own. Sam, who or what is under pressure?
I'm going to put the Mars Celebrations Advent calendar under pressure, because I swear to God, if I open a bounty tomorrow, I'm going to lose the rag.
If they've done a massive prank and
Can
it's
you
just all
imagine?
bounties, I will respect them.
Also,
if it's 24 bounties, I respect the hustle.
I love the fact that this isn't randomized. Everyone is getting the same torture.
Yeah.
That's
Me
ridiculous.
and Harry are sat here with 3 bounties.
Sorry, before we move on, I think this probably needs an explanation.
Yeah, true. It's pretty
No,
pretty British.
Leave it unexplained.
Sure. All right.
Actual under pressure, Yuki Tsunoda. There's a lot going on in the world of F1, but it seems all but done that Sergio Perez will be out of that seat come the end of the season. He needs we know that, bias tends to do well when you kind of think about your more recent Grand Prix. And he's had some ups and downs come the end of the season. he needs to end on a big up. He needs to do something special. He needs to, as quoting himself, destroy his teammate. Liam Lawson needs to be struggling and he needs to be thriving, because I think one spectacular performance from Liam Lawson could see it go the other way, and this is his actual moment to drive a Red Bull car. So come on, Yuki, do something special.
That team is definitely where the pressure is, because I had two names written down. One of them was Tsunoda, so I'll pick his teammate Liam Lawson. It seems like it's still alive for both of them. ESPN and others reporting that Sergio Perez, this might be his last Grand Prix in a Red Bull, in which case Liam Lawson, it appears as if he might be the favourite of the two. Whether you think he should be or not is another question. But if he is the favourite, he could really do with just cementing that here. So almost exactly what you said, Sam, but for Lawson rather than Tsunoda. If he's able to prove his worth against a guy who's much more experienced than he is in F1 terms, that will help his case a lot in the off-season. Harry, who have you got?
I'm going for McLaren to bring home their first Constructors title since 1999.
98?
98, sorry, yeah, of course, Ferrari won in 1998. I can understand. I know we're joking about them being fast but silly, and there is a lot of pressure on them this weekend, because if you think about the return to form, how long this has been brewing away, McLaren have not been in any sort of title fight since 2012, and even then that was only drivers. So it's been a long time. This is a big weekend for them, and they just need to, as we've already said, just need to bring it home.
I fear Marketing Man might take over the world if they win.
Oh, they've got caps, t-shirts, everything. Yeah.
Everything will have a branding deal on it. The man will not rest until we are all sponsored by MasterCard.
I guess to your point as well, Harry, it's not just that the team is under pressure because they haven't been in this situation for a very long time. It's not like their drivers have been in this situation, but with other teams. This is a team of two drivers that before this season had no race wins, apart from one sprint win. And neither of them have been in a Constructors or a Drivers' Championship battle before this year. So that's a lot of pressure on the team as a whole, but on a lineup that hasn't had to go through this sort of thing before.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but even I bet there's a good chunk of the team who have never been in this position, because that team has had a lot of restructuring. But apart from Rob Marshall, because he's a legend, champion of our hearts,
champion of Meng.
Another clip.
I'm around about.
Oh dear.
Just someone tape Will Joseph's mouth closed for the race, please.
Yeah,
don't say anything.
Us and Lando happier, I imagine.
Gotta go, man. I gotta feed information to Lando.
I've got to make a stupid joke twice even though he can't hear me. Will Joseph, you're brilliant. Just snappier, less.
Snappier, please.
Well, we focused on McLaren and on RB, but what have our Discord submitters focused on, Harry?
First up, firstly, obviously, thank you everyone. But first up, we've got Wet K-Mag.
Gene Haas's close personal friend, Wet K-Mag here. My impression is a little bit different because I don't think there's a whole lot of pressure. I just want to see Dry K-Mag be the box office on a Sunday one more time. Love the podcast. Join the Patreon or gift it.
God, he's so good, isn't he?
On brand.
Well done, Wet K-Mag.
The best stocking filler. Next up is V-Crab.
V-Crab here, the unofficial fishmonger of Formula One. My under pressure for this week is Lando Norris, because unbeknownst to anyone, somehow Charles Leclerc has snuck up on him and is now only 9 points behind him in the championship. Lando Norris, you were the title challenger to Verstappen, and you might not even finish second. Get it together.
I appreciate the point. I will counter it slightly. If Lando Norris cared that much, I don't think he'd have moved over for Oscar Piastri in the sprint race in Qatar.
Yeah, valid point. Thank you for the unofficial fishmonger of F1. Next up, I was going to say Liz, but it's got an exclamation mark on it, so it's Liz.
Under pressure for Abu Dhabi is Jack Doohan, who'd better be doing something mighty impressive on the track this weekend to stop Alpine from doing the most Alpine thing ever and firing him after one race for Franco Colapinto, like people are saying.
Liz, we're using that for an entire year next year.
Liz, you are so welcome.
What are you doing?
Come into the fold. What are you doing? What are you doing? He's going to
get that on some merch. What are you doing?
Marketing man, where is he?
Oh dear. Thank you for that, Liz.
Oh, sorry, no, I've just realised you can actually flip his name. He's doing Jack.
He's doing that. Doing Jack.
We're gonna have a meeting after this.
Yeah.
Marketing bit. Well, we are, but it's actually just beer we're breaking.
There will be a marketing meeting with beer.
Next up is Chiggles Liggles.
G'day, lads. My under pressure this week is Valtteri Bottas, purely because he's the only driver still on the grid not to have any points. Cheers.
Crikey.
You're right, Chiggles.
A bit of a power rankings Patreon plug here, but he's borderline, if not just crept into the top 10 on our power rankings. So we're rating him highly, but you're right, no points.
No points.
Sad times.
One Shade of Ginger is next.
What's up, late breakers? One shade of ginger here. Papaya orange in my heart, but Ferrari red on the outside.
Ferrari red!
Correct. With my under pressure submission for Abu Dhabi. And guess what? It's McLaren. Like, secure the points, win the Constructors. Your first one since 1998.
Lando Norris!
This is his favorite driver. That's my son. He's 3 years old. Start him young.
Yes.
Cheers, boys.
Love that.
Is that the second shade of ginger?
Shade of Ginger, the second.
I love that. That's adorable.
That was.
I don't remember anything you said. It's just adorable.
Yeah, I will say, in terms of like the rules and the probability of getting on under pressure and moment of the race submissions, bringing your kid on increases your chances by like 150%.
Look at James and Real Dad. James is now a man, as we pointed out in the last episode. Next up is Nick the Quick.
What's up, late breakers? Nick the Quick. My under pressure for Abu Dhabi is Franco Colapinto. He inherited a little bit of the McLaren, fast but silly. Too many crashes right now, and the interest is cool from Red Bull and Alpine. So he needs to have a good weekend if he wants to have a good future, potentially in F1. So I'm giving it to the Colapinto bean. Keep breaking late.
Thank you for that, Nick the Quick. Bungers is next.
For the last time this season, it's the McLaren CEO. Yeah. And the most under pressure for Abu Dhabi is unfortunately McLaren, after they had it so close. And honestly, I'm getting a little nervous. They're making me nervous, I will say. So, yeah.
Boy, he'd be nervous.
Boy, he'd be trembling.
It's been a while since he made me nervous.
George Russell 2022. Boy, you'd be making me nervous. Next up is Here for the Beer.
Hello, late breakers. My under pressure for this week, the rookies. Liam Lawson comes in to replace Danny Rick. Total of 2 points so far. Logan Sargent is wrecking too many cars, so we bring in Frankie Beans. And what does he do?
Five
wrecks. Let's get it straight, rookies.
God, the best voice in the whole world.
For a moment, and I agree with your submission, for a moment I didn't think you'd realise that Logan Sargent wasn't still there. And I thought it was going to be Logan Sargent. He's under pressure.
Yeah, he's not done much, has he?
Times.
He's been quiet for a while. Last and very much least is Beef.
Hello, I'm having to be quiet because my housemate's asleep. And as I'm recording this, I'm 8 minutes away from being 27. Woo, birthday Beef.
Over the hill.
Under pressure. Lando Norris. Don't be like challenging whatever for the World Drivers' Championship to then end up coming P3 to Charles Leclerc. Don't do that, babes. Okay, bye.
Do you know what shows real growth with Beef?
What's that?
With as apart from her aging, is that she didn't sing under pressure in that slightly irritating tone that she that she
She's
does every
matured
single
now.
week.
She's 27.
And I respect that a lot.
She wasn't at the time, though.
She was
It was half there, wasn't it? You could hear she almost went for it. So
she's preparing to be 27.
Baby steps.
Aren't we all?
I still am.
I really am. So far away from it now.
Forever preparing to be 27.
It's on my birth certificate.
Shall we move on? It's come up a couple of times during this podcast already in passing, which is Verstappen and George Russell. Now, we know that Verstappen was set to start on pole, and thank you for the point, Hazza, for the Qatar Grand Prix this Sunday, but instead it was George Russell after Verstappen got a one-place grid penalty. Verstappen had some comments about how Russell approached this situation. He said, "I was quite surprised when sitting there in the steward's room what was all going on. Honestly, it was very disappointing because I think we all here, we respect each other a lot. And of course, I've been in that meeting room many times in my life and my career with people that I've raced, and I've never seen someone trying to screw someone over that hard. And that's, for me, I lost all respect."
Hey, I ain't got respect.
Sorry, I didn't finish the quote. That was the last line.
Thank you.
In that voice.
Thank you.
Your thoughts on this, Sam?
Why is it so spicy? I love it. I love it. George Russell's in his villain era. I think this is great for the sport. We have a proper rivalry since Verstappen and Hamilton. So you know what? Shut the other British man in there. The tall glass of milk, as they like to call him. Woody the cowboy. Why not? Let's just see how it goes. Yeah, this is an interesting development. Because as Max rightly claimed, he has been in there with pretty much every racing driver under the sun. And we've never heard him make a comment like this before. I think Max is someone who is harsh but fair. In a lot of his comments, he kind of will race you as rough as he wants, and he thinks as long as you are racing me on the racetrack, I don't mind what you like when we get out of the car. We'll pat each other on the back, shake each other's hand. You see how him and Lewis Hamilton react with each other now, right? They kind of shake hands, smile at each other, get on with their lives. They're fine. And arguably, that was probably the worst Max Verstappen's ever actually had it. But the fact that George Russell has absolutely rattled him with this approach in the steward's office, what's he done? I need to be in there. I need to be in that room. I need a camera and a microphone to know what the little diva George Russell has been saying to these stewards, because he's clearly crossed the line with Max Verstappen. And it's been heard from a few people here and there across the paddock that Mr. Russell is very lovely to a camera, but maybe comes out a different way behind closed doors. Who knows? It's very interesting, though. I don't feel like they might be teammates at Red Bull anytime soon. This feels like that's not going to go that way either. Yeah, love it. Drama. All here for it.
I think this is an appropriate time to remind people as well that when George Russell got his first seat at Williams, he used a PowerPoint presentation to prove his point of why he should be there. If you're wondering what he might be like in the steward group.
George. Oh, God. Here is my car. Click. Next slide, please. Here is Max Verstappen's car. Next slide, please. He's in my way.
You can start to visualize it fairly quickly. Harry, what are your thoughts?
Inject it. Love it. Come on. It's like George Russell has decided Lando Norris didn't rattle Verstappen anywhere near enough this year. I haven't had a car for a championship fight, so I'm just going to annoy him. Just going to wind him up.
That kind of joking. I think there is an element to it.
Well, there is, because he's made a comment as well about saying how we'd win the championship.
I could have won this.
And for the love of God, Mercedes, be good next year. Be good.
Be good.
Because I would love for this to just roll over into 2025 and then these two hate each other for the rest of the year. I love that. I love a bit of spice like this.
We don't get this drama anymore.
No, and it's
Come
good.
on, hate each other.
Even when Norris and Verstappen, after Austria, they were like, arguing. By the time we got to the next race, they were fine again. No, boo!
They left on the same plane. They left on the same plane.
Boo. You're right, Sam. The last time we had it was Hamilton Verstappen. They never leave on the same plane.
They would not.
I'm not mad at this, and I think there's a bit of gamesmanship here from Russell, and it's interesting to see that it's, well, whether you say rattled or not, but it's certainly frustrated Verstappen enough for him to come out and say this. So I love it. more of this, please. And yeah, it just would be good for. It'd be good to see. I know we briefly had it on Sunday, but that was for a corner. It'd be good to see Russell in a car that was consistently able to challenge Verstappen, because next year could be spicy if that does happen.
You know that Verstappen could take it though. It will swing right back. It'll happen.
No,
come on, then.
I know, but then I feel like Russell will. I feel like Russell will maybe he doesn't care as much as Norris does about their whatever friendship they've got, but I don't know, it'd just be interesting to see.
Yeah, and obviously we don't know exactly what was said in this meeting, how it was said, and all the rest. But this is quite spicy. And this sounds weird, and I'm sure someone will correct me if actually he has been this way towards other drivers in the past. But Max Verstappen, despite the fact that he is quite often, I don't know, he speaks his mind, doesn't he? And if he is annoyed at a competitor or a sporting body or whoever, he will usually say it. But I don't remember this sort of comment from him about another competitor and the way in which they go about trying to get a penalty for someone else. So it felt like a notable statement for me. And I'm with you both. Like, George Russell has the right to plead his case however he wants to. Max Verstappen has a right to be annoyed about the way that Russell pleads his case. They both have a right to do what they have done. And rivalries have a right to exist in the sport. Like, we don't have to all agree on absolutely everything. And it feels like sometimes, again, going back to the Norris-Verstappen battle, it's maybe we haven't had enough of that. I don't mind George Russell using whatever tactics behind the scenes that he thinks he needs to use to try and get ahead. And I've got no problem Verstappen fighting back in the way that he wants to fight back. My only concern about this sort of a rivalry is, can George Russell actually match Verstappen on track? Because that, if he can't do that, then all of this is kind of meaningless. But at least in the last few Grand Prix, Russell's proving himself in that Mercedes. So we'll see what the car's like next year. But yeah, if Merc can turn up, if they're similar to Red Bull, I'm on board. Inject it, as one Harry Eid once said. Like, I agree with you, sir.
Thank you.
Mind your shoulder, mate, when you do that.
I know. It's a bit
we haven't had a yelp yet.
I've been very brave.
You're not moving a lot. It's quite clear.
I've been in the same position for an hour.
The anti-King Julian. I don't like to move it.
Don't make me move it to move it.
Your arms are not going up, Maurice. It's less fun that way.
Yeah.
Right, let's take our final break on this episode. On the other side, it's F1 Back and Forth.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for Back and Forth.
F1. Back and forth, it's F1. Back and forth, it goes backwards. Then goes forth, it's F1. Back and forth, F1.
F1 Back and Forth. I'm sure most of you know the rules of this by now, but we appreciate we're getting new people in all the time, and we very much welcome you to this weird little club that we have and we like to call Late Breaking. Back and Forth, Harry versus Sam. There are a number of correct answers in this category. They'll keep going back and forth until one of them can't think of a correct answer or give an incorrect answer. And I will give you one strike each.
Ooh.
Delightful.
I need you to tell me today I haven't actually counted these up. 16 drivers.
16
drivers who have raced over 50 times for Ferrari.
Oh, for God's sake.
And we'll start with Sam.
Michael Schumacher.
Boom.
You know what? Michael Schumacher has raced more than 50 times for Ferrari. He's raced the most times for Ferrari, 180. No, I'm not going to do it. Sorry.
Charles Leclerc.
Charles Leclerc is tragically already fourth on this list.
Lord.
I've got it down as 122. And honestly, I wrote this a month ago, and I can't remember if I wrote it with the ones that I expected him to do in advance, but it's a correct answer. I'm sure you don't care. Sam.
Sebastian Vettel.
Sebastian Vettel. Leclerc has now done more races than Vettel for Ferrari.
Wow.
118.
That's bad.
That is
if we're
bad.
using another British reference, I should do 118, shouldn't I, really?
What's your number?
118.
Harry, that's you.
Carlos Sainz.
Carlos Sainz is a correct answer. 84, which was right at the time of me doing this quiz, so who knows what it is now. Sam.
Rubens Barrichello.
Rubens Barrichello is a correct answer. Just about got over the 100 mark, 102. Back to you, Harry.
Kimi Räikkönen.
Kimi Räikkönen is second on this list with 151 race starts. Sam.
Felipe Massa.
Felipe Massa is third on this list, 139 race starts. Back to you, Harry.
Fernando Alonso.
96 painful races. A couple of them might have been all right.
Yeah, a couple were okay.
Yeah, that's the correct answer. Sam, back to you.
Alain Prost.
Alain Prost is not a correct answer.
Oh, have a day off.
No. So that is that's your one and only strike. Back to Harry.
Gerhard Berger.
Gerhard Berger is a correct answer. Also done 96 races for the team, which means you have now quite neatly done essentially the top half of the list, and you've only got the bottom 7 answers to go. Sam, back to you.
Eddie Irvine.
Eddie Irvine is a correct answer. 65 races for the team. Harry.
Jean Alesi.
Jean Alesi is a correct answer. 79 races. 5 to go. Sam.
Oh, I am in the land of confusion.
You say hi to Alpine for me.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello, Ollie. Niki Lauda.
Niki Lauda is a correct answer. 58 races means he's the penultimate name on this list. Harry, 4 left.
But Is Alboreto on the list?
You know what, mate? He is on the list, yeah. 80 races.
80? Goodness me.
As many as that.
3 names left on this list, Sam.
How many, Harry?
Oh, I'm not
Don't
even
out
close.
yourself. It's not worth it. Don't out yourself.
Close.
3.
There we go. I did that to give myself more time to think.
Did you use that time thinking?
No. That would have been logical. Who drove for Ferrari in history? Jackie X.
Correct answer.
Yeah, my favourite man.
The last name on this list with 55 race starts. 2 to go, Harry.
Clay Regazzoni.
Clay Regazzoni's a correct answer. 73 race starts, which means, Sam, you have the opportunity to finish this game off with the one name left on this list.
Do you remember earlier in the podcast where I guessed 1 correctly? Can I now use that to redeem a correct answer?
Yeah.
I'll have a look at the bylaws. Hang on.
Thank you. Please do. I decided yes is the answer.
Oh, no. They say grow up.
And then is that the same rule bit as where Ocon can't do the last race and then do the test with the Haas?
Yeah.
Well,
Made
that
up.
makes sense. Right. A lot of names out there.
There are. There are.
Ryan Burke.
Rob Marshall.
Oh, Berkey. Rob Marshall deserves it. In spirit, he's done that.
Rob Marshall with 9,000 as a correct answer. Well done.
on his top trump card.
But it's actually like A3.
Every stat, 99.99999. Who's done a lot of races for Ferrari? That is the point of the quiz.
Yeah, you got it, mate.
I'm going to go with Gilles Villeneuve. Did a lot, didn't he?
Did enough. 66 races.
So worth the stalling.
Which means just one life was needed between both of you.
Excellent
Out
work.
of interest, Harry, if that last one came to you.
I mean, that's probably the only one I could think of, but I didn't believe that he had done over 50. Yeah. So I probably would have doubted myself and said, I don't know, Fangio.
Fair enough. Well done to you both. A very successful back and forth, which means it will be a very difficult segment to top, but not impossible, because I have lined up the greatest segment in all of Formula One podcasting. It is the
LB question of the week. Nice.
Question of the week. A topical one after Qatar. What was the FIA doing, or why didn't they go out and collect Albon's wing mirror that, of course, caused all the carnage?
Matthew Bonner, aka Harry Eag's greatest rival, has come out with this absolute zinger, which is I couldn't see it because the mirror was missing, which I think is sublime.
Yeah, I like that one.
Beef actually came in with a funny one, so well done, 27-year-old Beef.
The shock!
I know.
Goodness me.
She said they were busy watching Shrek 2 to see what all the fuss was about.
Oh.
Go on, Ben.
The delay.
No, I haven't been this disappointed as in Shrek 2.
No.
My favourite moment.
DJ Moniz said none of Omar's 9 kids can crawl that fast. So there's the answer to the weekly answer to how do we get that joke into this question of the week.
Disclaimer: we do not support child labour on this podcast.
New Year's resolution.
Who does that say?
No more 9 kids. Tomato Cando, great name, said there's strict rules about interfering with a Williams car part in its natural habitat. In brackets, I am so sorry. It's a good one.
I've got a couple here. One from Aaron, and a few people used this pun, but on reflection, they thought it wasn't that bad. Clever work. I appreciated it.
Haughty banter.
CMKS said it was a rare desert beaver and they don't tend to wildlife.
Must be global warming.
Yuki, why would it be a beaver?
If you haven't seen Yuki Tsunoda's comments about what he thought that the mirror was, please do go away and have a look at it because it is worth your time.
Rath has just put a gif of Elmo on the toilet.
Sure.
There you go.
CNC Machinist, the countdown continues, although only down by 30 this week. So what's happening?
This is doing my head in. So if he goes at this sort of rate, we are looking at October in 2 years' time when this will run out, which if it happens on a Monday, and I don't presume we'll change this is quite interesting. It will happen. This countdown will finish on the same day as Hillary Clinton's birthday.
Wow. Goodness me.
I was going to say I'm too young to die, but I'm past that point.
Some of you may live.
If the countdown's still going on, like in a year's time or in 18 months' time, my head will explode before it ends. Like
that's the real countdown.
Yeah.
How many times can you put a number before Ben actually explodes?
It's close already.
Good.
Someone said a couple for saying that Bernd Mailander was on the loo. Someone said he was having a waz, and waz is the description. It's a good one.
Yes.
Ramble on with Rosie, sensational. Ben Sulliam had looked into the mirror that morning and it had said he was not the fairest of them all, so he wished for it to be destroyed.
Valid. Virgil said the stewards were all too busy filling out job applications in preparation for when Mohammed Ben Sulayem fires them. We're looking for jokey answers, not the actual answers. Come on.
Yeah. This is a silly segment.
A few people said none of their business, which is in relation to Mohammed Ben Sulayem's comments from the weekend. Carissa was one of those. Last one from me was from Tyler. The new race director is actually Patches O'Houlihan, who famously said, if you can dodge a wing mirror, you can dodge a ball.
I don't think we get a Patches O'Houlihan reference.
I didn't think so.
Excellent.
That is so good. Dodgeball is a fantastic film.
Great film.
Andy Brown says Bant in it, which I respect that.
That's so us in 2013.
Yeah.
And now.
Yeah, I don't know why you said 2013.
Yeah, some really good ones on that. Thank you. We'll do that again, I imagine, at some point.
Well, I think we will, because if my calculations are correct, next week's question of the week is already predetermined. Next week's question of the week will be who should join the Late Breaking Hall of Fame?
Ooh.
Because that's coming up very shortly indeed.
Robert Marshall.
Hey, mate, if you want to induct him, you can do it. You've got your own vote.
Yeah, true. He's a contender on my list.
I've got to think about this. I really haven't got anything prepped and ready.
We have got a lot of exciting episodes to come after the Abu Dhabi review. You'll have to stick around for all of December to listen to those. But Sam, if you wouldn't mind, in the meantime, getting us out of here.
Folks, thanks so much for listening as always. Join us over the weekend. If you want some more content, or if you want to maybe see us just get drunk on a camera, then you can join Patreon. The link's in the description below. And also get your power rankings, which will be the final one after Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So loads of great stuff in there, and it massively helps out the show. Thanks for everyone that does subscribe. Discord, the link's in the description as well. We've got the final little go there for our kind of survey that we're running. If you want to give any feedback for the show, that's your chance to do so. We would love to hear your feedback while Ben coughs over me. Are you okay?
Yeah, I think I'm all right.
Good. Glad he's surviving. Folks, follow us on social, Late Breaking F1. Watch us on YouTube, where you can moan at our opinions, Late Breaking F1. And we will see you at the weekend. In the meantime, I've been Samuel Sage.
I've been Ben Hocking.
I've been a roundabout.
Do it.
And remember, keep breaking late.
For fuck's sake.